My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel. Yellow. The exact sunshine yellow I'd pictured in my head for years. My Lamborghini Huracan. Mine. It still felt surreal. Growing up in a neighborhood where a decent used sedan was a luxury, this felt like I'd stepped into another dimension. After years of grueling study, the endless nights poring over textbooks, and the pressure of building my orthodontics practice, I'd finally done it. I had finally achieved a goal I had been working towards. The scent of new leather filled the cabin, a heady mix of luxury and accomplishment. I ran my hand over the dashboard, the sleek, modern design a stark contrast to the beat-up Honda Accord. I usually drove to work. That Accord, bless its reliable little heart, was going to stay my workhorse. I wasn't about to risk a stray rock chip on this beauty during my daily commute. The drive home from the dealership was a blur of admiring glances and envious stares. I felt a surge of pride, not in a boastful way, but in a quiet, internal sense of victory. This wasn't just a car. It was a symbol of the sacrifices I had made, the obstacles I had overcome, and the unwavering belief I had in myself. I pulled into my driveway, the Lamborghini gleaming under the afternoon sun. My neighbor, Karen, was standing in her yard, arms crossed, staring intently. I'd noticed her doing that a few times this week when I drove by in my Accord. I had a feeling she was curious, but I didn't think too much of it. We weren't exactly close. Pleasantries exchanged over the occasional shared property line issue were the extent of our relationship. I gave her a polite nod as I maneuvered the car into the garage, being extra careful not to scratch the rims. Little did I know, that small gesture would be the catalyst for the most bizarre and infuriating experience of my life. I couldn't wait to show my parents and my girlfriend. I was planning on taking her out tonight in the Beast and surprise her with a lovely dinner downtown. Little did I know that tonight would be anything but a lovely night. The garage door rumbled closed, and I let out a long, satisfied sigh. I couldn't believe it. It was finally mine. I spent a good hour just admiring the car, running my fingers over its curves, and inhaling the new car smell. I was like a kid with a new toy. Finally, I decided to go inside to shower and take a nap before my big night out. As soon as I shut the front door, somebody rung the doorbell aggressively. I knew who it was before I even peeked through the peephole. I opened the door, and there she was, Karen, her face contorted in a way I'd only seen in internet memes. Her eyes were narrowed, and her lips were pursed in that familiar, "I demand to speak to your manager" expression. I braced myself. "Yes, Karen? Is everything all right?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "That car," she said, pointing towards the garage, "that Lamborghini. It doesn't belong to you." I blinked, taken aback. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," she snapped. "Someone like you shouldn't have a car like that. You didn't earn it. You didn't work for it." My blood started to simmer. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand. What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, her voice rising, "that you need to give it to me. It's rightfully mine." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Are you serious? This is my car. I bought it with my own money." "Don't lie to me," she shrieked. "You probably stole it, or you're dealing drugs. There's no way you could afford that car honestly." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I'm a doctor, Karen. I own my own orthodontics practice. I worked hard for this." I explained to her everything that I do to make an honest living and how much work I put into my business. She scoffed. "Yeah, right. A doctor? Don't insult my intelligence. You people are all the same." Her face started to turn red out of anger at the fact that I was telling her how it is. What people are you referring to, Karen? I asked, my voice dangerously low. I knew where this was going, and I didn't like it one bit. You know what I mean, she sneered. You just need to give me the car, because it is rightfully mine. I am not giving you my car, Karen, I said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other things to do. I began to close the door, but she wedged her foot in the opening. You'll regret this, she screamed. I'm calling the police. You'll be in jail before you know it. I couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. This was beyond ridiculous. Go ahead. Karen, call them. I have nothing to hide. I managed to pry her foot out of the doorway and slammed the door shut. I stood for a moment, catching my breath. I couldn't believe what had just happened. Karen was completely unhinged. I peeked through the peephole and saw her frantically dialing her phone. Sure enough, she was calling 911. Hello, 911? I need to report a crime, she shrieked into the phone. My neighbor. He has a stolen car, a Lamborghini. He's refusing to give it back to me. I could hear the dispatcher on the other end, calmly trying to get more information. Ma'am, can you please provide your address and the make and model of the vehicle? It's my address, and it's a yellow Lamborghini Huracan. He doesn't deserve it. He needs to be arrested, she yelled. I shook my head in disbelief. This was insane. I knew the police would see through her lies, but the thought of having to deal with this whole situation was exhausting. I decided to take a video recording of her just in case she decided to start making any other crazy claims. I needed to have something to protect myself with in case things escalated. Ma'am, do you have any proof that the car is stolen? The dispatcher asked. Proof? I don't need proof. I just know it's stolen. Look at him. He's probably a criminal, Karen ranted. I could hear the dispatcher trying to maintain a calm demeanor. Ma'am, we need concrete evidence before we can dispatch officers. Do you have any information about where the car was stolen from, or who the rightful owner is? The rightful owner is me, Karen screamed. He stole it from me. I was going to buy it, but he took it first, and now he won't give it to me for free. I almost choked on my own spit. She wanted me to give her my brand new Lamborghini for free? The audacity was astounding. I felt a mixture of anger and disbelief. Ma'am, are you saying that you believe the car should be yours, even though you haven't purchased it? The dispatcher asked, clearly trying to clarify the situation. Yes, he owes it to me. He needs to be arrested immediately for stealing my future car, Karen insisted loudly. I continued recording, documenting every word of her delusional rant. I knew this video would be crucial if things escalated further. I heard sirens in the distance, growing louder as they approached my house. It was time to face the music. Within minutes, 2 police cruisers pulled up to the curb. 2 officers, a man and a woman, emerged from the vehicles and approached Karen, who was still ranting on the phone. Ma'am, we received a report of a stolen vehicle, the male officer said, his voice calm but firm. Can you tell us what's going on? Karen immediately launched into her story, pointing at my house and accusing me of stealing her future car. She repeated her claims that I didn't deserve it and that I should be arrested immediately. She was so worked up that she was practically vibrating with anger. The officers listened patiently, their expressions unreadable. After Karen finished her tirade, the female officer turned to me. Sir, can you please come outside and explain your side of the story? She asked politely. I nodded and walked out onto my porch, holding up my phone. Officers, I have a video recording of everything that just transpired, I said, showing them the screen. I believe it speaks for itself. They watched the video, their faces slowly changing as they listened to Karen's increasingly bizarre claims. The male officer raised an eyebrow, while the female officer shook her head in disbelief. "Ma'am," the male officer said, turning back. To Karen, "Are you claiming that this man stole a car that you never owned, and that you believe he should give it to you for free?" Karen huffed. "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. He's probably doing something illegal to even have all of that money." The female officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, do you have any evidence to support your claims of theft or any illegal activity?" Karen paused, her eyes darting around nervously. "Well, no, not exactly. But I know he's up to something. I've been watching him all week." This was where things took an unexpected turn. "Watching him?" the male officer asked, his voice gaining a sharper edge. "What do you mean, you've been watching him?" Karen, caught off guard, started to stammer. I mean, I've just been keeping an eye on the neighborhood, making sure everything is safe." "Ma'am, we've received several complaints from neighbors about suspicious activity in the area," the female officer said, her voice low. "Reports of someone peering into windows, following residents, and generally making people feel uncomfortable. Are you aware of these complaints?" Karen's face paled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. The male officer stepped closer. "Ma'am, are you telling us that you've been engaging in surveillance of your neighbors?" Karen's eyes darted from officer to officer, her expression panicked. She knew she was in trouble. Under the officer's relentless questioning, Karen's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. She stammered, hesitated, and contradicted herself repeatedly. Finally, the truth began to spill out. "Okay, fine. I admit it. I was watching him," she blurted out, her voice cracking. "But it's not what you think." "Then what is it?" the male officer pressed, his voice unwavering. I suspected him of drug dealing," she stammered. "I thought he was bringing drugs into the neighborhood." The female officer raised an eyebrow. "And what led you to believe that, ma'am?" "Well, he's... Karen trailed off, unable to articulate her prejudice without explicitly stating it. "He just seemed suspicious. And then he bought that expensive car. It didn't make any sense." The officers exchanged a knowing glance. They had heard this kind of thinly veiled prejudice before. "So, you decided to conduct your own investigation, without any evidence or probable cause?" the male officer asked. Karen nodded miserably. "I just wanted to protect my family. I didn't want drugs in my neighborhood." "Ma'am, your actions have caused significant distress to your neighbor and potentially violated his privacy," the female officer said sternly. "Furthermore, you have made false accusations to 911, which is a criminal offense." Karen's face crumpled. "I didn't mean to cause any harm. I just wanted to do what was right." "Ma'am, your intentions may have been well-meaning, but your actions were misguided and unlawful," the male officer said. "We're going to have to take you into custody." Karen's eyes widened in horror. "Custody? But what about my children?" "Who will take care of them?" the female officer sighed. "We'll contact Child Protective Services. They'll ensure your children are safe and cared for." As the officers placed Karen in handcuffs and led her to the police cruiser, she began to sob uncontrollably. "This is all his fault," she wailed, pointing at me. "He did this to me." I just shook my head in disbelief. This whole situation was beyond absurd. The police took Karen away, leaving me standing on my porch in a state of bewildered exhaustion. The neighbors, who had been watching the drama unfold from their windows, began to emerge from their homes, offering apologies and expressions of sympathy. "Winston, "We are so sorry you had to go through that," one neighbor said. "We've been noticing Karen's strange behavior for weeks. We should have said something sooner." "Yeah, she's been driving everyone crazy," another neighbor added, peeking in windows, asking nosy questions. "We're glad she's finally being held accountable." I thanked them for their support, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over me. Karen's prejudice and entitlement had been shocking, but the fact that she had been actively spying on me and my neighbors for weeks was deeply unsettling. Later that evening, I received a visit from Child Protective Services. They informed me that Karen's children were being placed in temporary foster care while they investigated the situation. Apparently, Karen had a history of erratic behavior and had previously been flagged for potential neglect. As I watched the social workers leave, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for Karen's children. They were innocent victims in this whole mess. The incident with Karen left a lasting impact on me. It served as a stark reminder that prejudice and discrimination are still alive and well, even in seemingly progressive communities. It also reinforced the importance of standing up for myself and not allowing others to diminish my achievements. I decided to install security cameras around my property and take extra precautions to protect my privacy. I also resolved to become more involved in my community and advocate for social justice. As for the Lamborghini, I still drive it with pride, but now it represents something more than just personal success. It represents resilience, perseverance, and the unwavering belief in myself, even in the face of ignorance and hate. And every time I see that sunshine yellow paint gleaming in the sun, I remember the day Karen tried to steal my dream, and how, in the end, her own actions led to her downfall. My night out with my girlfriend went as planned, and she looked absolutely stunning. When she saw the car, her jaw dropped and she started crying. It was a beautiful night.